Captain Lee Hyun stared at the empty screen in front of him. Another quiet day at Beacon 7, the most boring job in the galaxy. He had been watching space for 2 years now, looking for signals from other worlds. So far, he had found nothing but silence. Beacon 7 was a small space station floating near the edge of human space. It was built on an old asteroid, far from any planets or trade routes. The job was simple. Listen for alien signals and report back to Earth. Most days there was nothing to report. "Captain, you should drink your coffee before it gets cold," said Dr. Park Mina from her desk across the room. She was the station's communications expert, a smart woman who could speak 12 different human languages. She was also the only person on the station who made decent coffee. Lee Hyun picked up his cup and took a sip. The coffee was still warm. Outside the station's small windows, stars twinkled in the darkness. Somewhere out there, other intelligent beings might be living their lives, but they had never sent a signal that humans could hear. "Do you think we're alone out here?" asked Lieutenant Kim Jae. He was young, maybe 25 years old, and still excited about the possibility of finding aliens. He spent most of his time checking sensors and navigation equipment. "Maybe," said Lee Hyun. "Or maybe they're just too far away to hear." Engineer Song Bo looked up from his repair work. He was always fixing something on the station. "Or maybe they're smart enough to stay quiet," he said with a laugh. "If I saw humans coming, I might hide too." The 4 crew members had been working together for 6 months. They were a good team, even if their job was mostly waiting and watching. Earth Command had built dozens of stations like Beacon 7, all listening for signs of alien life. Most stations never heard anything interesting. That changed at exactly 14:32 station time. The communication system started beeping loudly. Dr. Park Mina jumped up from her chair and ran to her equipment. "Captain, we're getting a signal," she said, her voice excited. "It's not from any human ship." Lee Hyun felt his heart start beating faster. "Are you sure?" "Yes, sir. The signal is coming from the Vega sector, about 12 light-years away. It's using Galactic Standard Language Protocol." "Galactic Standard?" asked Kim Jae. "But that's just a theoretical language. Nobody actually uses it." Dr. Park Mina was already working on her computer, trying to understand the signal. "Someone is using it now," she said. "And they're using it badly. The grammar is all wrong, like they learned it from a book." Lee Hyun walked over to look at her screen. Numbers and symbols filled the display, but he could not read them. "What does it say?" "Give me a minute," said Dr. Park Mina. Her fingers moved quickly over the keyboard. It's a distress call. Someone is asking for help." The room became very quiet. Songbo stopped his repair work. Kim Jae turned away from his sensors. All 4 humans stared at the communication equipment. "Help with what?" asked Lee Hyun. "Doctor." Park Mina continued working. "The message is repeating. Let me get a better translation." She typed more commands. It says, "Emergency. Ship captured. Families in danger. Please help. Peaceful traders need rescue. Children aboard. Korthak Empire has taken us. We'll be slaves. Please, anyone who hears this, help us." Lee Hyun felt a cold feeling in his stomach. "Korthak Empire? Who are they?" "I don't know," said Dr. Park Mina. "But whoever sent this message is scared. Really scared." Kim Jae was checking his sensor data. "Captain, I'm not detecting any ships in the Vega sector. If someone is there, they're either very far away or very good at hiding." "The signal is weak," said Dr. Park Mina. "It's probably coming from a small transmitter, maybe hidden on a ship." Songbo walked over to join them. "So let me understand this. Aliens are real, they're in trouble, and they're asking us for help?" "That's what it looks like," said Lee Hyun. "And we're supposed to do what exactly? We're just a listening post. We don't have weapons or warships." Lee Hyun knew Songbo was right. Beacon 7 had no weapons except for small guns to fight off pirates. They had no military ships, no soldiers, and no way to help anyone who was 12 light-years away. But the message kept repeating. Every few minutes, the same desperate call for help came through the communication system. Someone out there was, in serious trouble, and Earth was the only place that might be able to help them. "Dr. Park, can you get more information from the signal?" asked Lee Hyun. She worked for another hour, running the message through different translation programs. Slowly, more details became clear. "The ship that sent this is called Gentle Wind," she said. "It belongs to a species called the Halani. They were trading with other worlds when they were attacked and captured by the Korthak Empire." "What do we know about these Korthak?" asked Kim Jae. "Not much, but from the message, they sound like bad news. The Halani say the Korthak take prisoners and make them work as slaves. They've done this to many different species." Lee Hyun walked to the window and looked out at the stars. Somewhere in that darkness, innocent beings were trapped and afraid. They had sent a message hoping someone would hear and help them. By pure chance, that message had reached a human listening post. "Captain," said Songbo quietly, "we need to report this to Earth Command." "I know," said Lee Hyun. "But what will they do? Earth has never made contact with aliens before. We don't have rules for this situation." "Maybe that's exactly why we need to contact them," said Dr. Park Mina. "This could be humanity's first chance to meet other intelligent species. We can't ignore it." Kim Jae was reading more sensor data. "Captain, there's something else. The signal is getting weaker. Either the transmitter is breaking down or whoever sent it is running out of power." Lee Hyun made his decision. He walked to the emergency communication panel and opened a direct channel to Earth Command. This was only supposed to be used for the most serious emergencies. He had never used it before. "Earth Command, this is Beacon 7. Priority Alpha message. We have made contact with alien intelligence. They are requesting immediate assistance. Please respond." He closed the channel and looked at his crew. Dr. Park Mina was still working on the alien message. Kim Jae was monitoring all sensors for any changes. Songbo was checking the station systems to make sure everything was working properly. The alien message continued to repeat. Each time it played, Lee Hyun felt more pressure to do something. But what could 4 humans on a small listening post do against an empire that captured and enslaved entire species? "How long until we hear back from Earth?" asked Songbo. "At least 8 hours," said Lee Hyun. "Maybe longer if they need to wake up the important people." 8 hours felt like a very long time. The alien message would keep repeating. The Halani would keep waiting for someone to answer their call for help. And 4 humans would keep watching, hoping that Earth Command would know what to do. Lee Hyun did not know it yet, but his decision to contact Earth would change everything. The message from the Halani was not just a call for help. It was humanity's introduction to a galaxy full of other intelligent species. And that introduction was happening through an act of war. The stars outside Beacon 7 looked the same as always. But everything had changed. Humans were no longer alone in the universe, and they were about to learn that being alone had been much safer than anyone realized. The alien message played again. "Please help. Children aboard. Anyone who hears this, help us." Lee Hyun closed his eyes and hoped that Earth would have an answer. Admiral Choi Yuna was eating breakfast when the emergency call came through. She was 70 years old and had been in the military for 45 years. In all that time, she had never received a priority alpha message from a deep space listening post. "Admiral, you need to see this immediately," said her assistant, running into her office on Luna Base. "It's from Beacon 7. They say they've made contact with aliens." Admiral Choi put down her coffee cup. "Aliens? Are you sure this isn't some kind of mistake?" "No, ma'am. We've confirmed the signal. It's real. And the aliens are asking for help." Within an hour, Admiral Choi was sitting in the emergency command center with the most important people in human space. General Nam Woo, head of military operations, was studying the alien message on his tablet. Dr. Shin Hye, the government's expert on alien contact, was reading through every detail they had received from Beacon 7. "So, let me understand this," said General Nam Woo. "Some aliens called the Halani were captured by other aliens called the Korthak. The Halani sent out a distress call and we picked it up by accident." "That's correct," said Dr. Shin Hye. "But it's more complicated than that. The Korthak appear to be an empire that captures and enslaves other species. This isn't just a simple rescue mission. Admiral Choi looked at the star map on the main screen. The Vega sector was marked in red, 12 light years from Earth. How many ships do we have that can reach the Vega sector? 17 warships, if we use the fast cruisers, said General Nam Wu. But Admiral, our ships were designed to fight pirates and protect colonies. We don't know anything about alien military technology. Then we better learn fast, said Admiral Choi. Colonel Bei Jin, commander of the Space Marines, spoke up from his chair. Admiral, with respect, shouldn't we think about this more carefully? We're talking about starting a war with aliens we know nothing about. No, said Admiral Choi firmly. We're talking about saving innocent people from slavery. The fact that they're aliens doesn't change that. Dr. Shinhai was still reading reports on her computer. Admiral, I've been studying what little information we have about galactic politics. It appears that most alien species communicate through trade and diplomacy. Physical warfare is rare because most species can't survive violent conflict. What do you mean? Asked General Nam Wu. Think about it. Most planets that can support intelligent life are much more peaceful than Earth. They don't have our gravity, our weather, our dangerous animals. The species that evolve on those worlds are probably not as physically strong as humans. Colonel Bei Jin looked interested. Are you saying that humans might have a military advantage? I'm saying it's possible. Earth is what scientists call a death world, a planet where everything is trying to kill you. Humans evolved to survive in conditions that would kill most other species. Admiral Choi stood up and walked to the star map. How long would it take to mobilize our entire fleet? Our entire fleet? Asked General Nam Wu, surprised. Admiral, that's over 200 ships. Are you planning to invade the entire Korthak Empire? If necessary, said Admiral Choi. This is humanity's first contact with alien civilization. How we handle this situation will determine how other species see us for the next 1,000 years. She turned to face the room. If we do nothing, the aliens will think humans are cowards who ignore cries for help. If we send a small force and it gets defeated, they'll think we're weak. But if we send everything we have and win decisively, they'll know that humans protect the innocent. Dr. Shin Hai was making notes on her tablet. Admiral, there's something else to consider. The Helani message mentioned that the Korthak have enslaved many species. This empire might be much larger than we think. Then we better make sure they understand we're not easy targets, said General Nam Wu, warming up to the idea. Colonel Bei Jin was studying troop deployment charts. If we're really doing this, we'll need to modify our tactics. Our Marines are trained to fight in Earth gravity and atmosphere. Space combat against aliens will be completely different. Actually, said Dr. Shinhai, it might be easier. If most alien species evolved on peaceful worlds, they probably can't handle the physical stress of combat. Our soldiers might have a huge advantage. Admiral Choi made her decision. General Nam, I want every available warship ready for deployment within 72 hours. Colonel Bei, prepare your Marines for extended space operations. Dr. Shin, I need you to learn everything possible about alien psychology and tactics. Yes, ma'am, all 3 officers replied. The next 3 days were the busiest in human military history. Ships that had been patrolling asteroid mining operations were recalled to Earth. Weapons designed to destroy space rocks were tested against military targets. Marines who had trained for colony defense learned how to fight in zero gravity. Most importantly, Earth's weapons factories started working around the clock. Human military equipment was built to function in Earth's harsh environment. The guns worked in extreme cold, the armor could handle crushing pressure, and the ships were designed to fly through radiation that would cook most electronics. Captain Ryu Su was called back from a routine patrol to command the fleet's flagship, a massive dreadnought called the Unbeatable. He had been in space for 20 years, fighting pirates and protecting civilian ships, but he had never commanded a ship in a real war. Captain, said his weapons officer, Lieutenant Kang Yun, I've been studying the tactical situation. We don't know anything about Korthak ship designs or battle strategies. Then we'll have to be ready for anything, said Captain Ryu. Make sure all weapon systems are at maximum efficiency. If we're going to fight aliens, we better fight them with everything we have. Commander Yoon Hai was preparing her fighter squadrons for long-range operations. Her pilots were the best in human space, trained to fly through asteroid fields and solar storms. But fighting alien warships would test their skills in ways they had never imagined. "Commander," said one of her pilots, "do you think the aliens will be better fighters than us?" "I don't know," said Commander Yoon honestly, "but I know that we're from Earth. We've survived everything our planet could throw at us. I think that gives us an advantage." On the third day, Admiral Choi stood on the bridge of the Indomitable and looked out at the largest fleet in human history. 237 ships floated in formation around Earth. Battleships, cruisers, destroyers, and support vessels, everything humanity could put into space. The crews were mostly young people who had joined the military to protect human colonies from pirates and smugglers. None of them had expected to fight a war against an alien empire. But they were ready. "Admiral," said the communications officer, "we're receiving a final message from Beacon 7. The alien distress signal is getting weaker." Admiral Choi nodded. "Then we better hurry. All ships prepare for jump to hyperspace, destination Vega sector." She opened a channel to address the entire fleet. "This is Admiral Choi. Today humanity takes its first step into galactic civilization. We go not as conquerors, but as protectors. We go to save innocent lives and to show the galaxy what humans stand for. Whatever we face out there, remember that you represent the best of humanity." The fleet jumped into hyperspace, leaving Earth behind. They were heading toward a battle that would change the course of galactic history. They were about to introduce humanity to the stars in the most dramatic way possible. None of them knew that the Korthak Empire had been looking for species like humans for centuries. None of them knew that Earth was considered a death world by galactic standards, and none of them knew that they were about to become the most feared military force in the galaxy. The war was about to begin. The human fleet came out of hyperspace in the Vega sector and immediately saw hell. Captain Ryu Su stood on the bridge of the Indomitable and stared at the main screen. What he saw made his stomach turn. Hundreds of alien ships were chained together around a dead star. They were not warships, they were cargo vessels, passenger ships, and small trading craft from dozens of different species. "My God," whispered Lieutenant Kang Yoon, "how many prisoners are down there?" "Sensors show at least 50,000 life forms," reported the scanner officer. "They're all being held in those ships. The conditions look terrible." Captain Ryu could see Korthak warships patrolling around the prison fleet. The alien vessels were large and covered with weapons, but they looked more like floating fortresses than proper warships. They were built to intimidate, not to fight. "Captain," said the communications officer, "we're getting a signal from one of the Korthak ships." "Put it on speaker," said Captain Ryu. A harsh alien voice filled the bridge. The translation software worked quickly to convert the words into human language. "Unknown vessels, you are entering Korthak space without permission. Identify yourselves immediately or face destruction." Captain Ryu looked at his crew. This was it. Humanity's first conversation with an alien species. He opened a communication channel. "This is Captain Ryu Su of the Terran Defense Fleet. We received a distress call from peaceful traders. We demand the immediate release of all prisoners." There was silence for a moment. Then the alien voice returned, sounding amused. "Terran? We do not know this species. You will leave immediately or you will join the other slaves in our collection." "That's not going to happen," said Captain Ryu calmly. "Your small fleet is no match for the power of the Korthak Empire. We have conquered 47 species. You will be the 48th. Lieutenant Kang Yoon was studying the enemy ships on his tactical display. "Captain, their weapons are powerful, but their ship designs are strange. They seem to rely more on fear than actual combat capability." "How many Korthak ships?" asked Captain Ryu. 12 warships, sir, plus about 30 smaller vessels guarding the prison fleet." Captain Ryu did quick math in his head. The human fleet had over 200 ships. The odds were heavily in their favor, but these were aliens with unknown technology. Anything could happen. The Korthak commander's voice came through the speakers again. We will demonstrate our power so you understand your situation. On the main screen, Captain Ryu watched as the largest Korthak warship turned toward a small human destroyer that had moved ahead of the main fleet. The alien ship charged its weapons and fired a massive energy beam. The beam hit the human destroyer directly. For a moment, Captain Ryu thought the ship had been destroyed. Then the smoke cleared and the destroyer was still there, its shields glowing but intact. Damage report, Captain Ryu called to his communications officer. The stalwart reports minor. Shield damage, sir. No hull breaches. They're ready to continue fighting. Lieutenant Kang Yun looked surprised. Captain, that was their main weapon. It barely scratched our shields. Captain Ryu smiled grimly. Then let's show them what Earth technology can do. All ships attack formation. Target the Korthak warships. The human fleet moved forward like a pack of wolves. The ships had been designed to operate in Earth's dangerous solar system, where radiation storms and asteroid impacts were constant threats. Their shields and armor were built to handle punishment that would destroy most other vessels. The Indomitable fired its main guns at the largest Korthak ship. The weapons had been designed to break apart asteroids for mining operations. When they hit the alien vessel, the result was devastating. The Korthak ship exploded in a ball of fire and debris. Its massive armor, designed to look impressive, offered no real protection against weapons built to crack planets. Direct hit, reported Lieutenant Kang Yun. Enemy vessel destroyed. Around the battlefield, the same scene was playing out again and again. Human ships that looked small compared to the massive Korthak vessels were tearing them apart with weapons. Fire. The alien ships were built for show, not for war against a species that knew how to fight. Commander Yoon Hee was leading her fighter squadrons through the enemy formation. Her pilots flew through radiation zones and debris fields that the Korthak considered impossible to navigate. To humans who had learned to fly in Earth's dangerous environment, it was just another day at work. Blue leader to all fighters, she called over the radio. The enemy ships can't track us through this radiation. Use it as cover and hit their weapon systems. Her fighters darted between the Korthak vessels like angry hornets. They flew through areas of space that would have killed most alien pilots, striking at critical systems and disappearing before the enemy could respond. Sergeant Major Odong was preparing his Marines for boarding operations. If there were prisoners on those ships, someone would have to go in and get them out. Listen up, he told his troops. We're about to be the first humans to set foot on alien ships. Stay alert, watch each other's backs, and remember, we're here to save people, not to start a war. The Marines loaded into assault shuttles and launched toward the prison fleet. As they flew through the battle zone, they could see that the fight was almost over. Most of the Korthak warships were destroyed, or fleeing. The few that remained were badly damaged and no longer fighting. The boarding operation was easier than expected. The Korthak had never faced soldiers who could fight in zero gravity and vacuum. Their ship security was designed to handle weak prisoners, not trained warriors in powered armor. Command, this is Odong, the sergeant major reported as his team secured the first prisoner ship. We've found the Halani. They're alive but in bad condition. We're also finding other species, lots of them. Back on the Indomitable, Captain Ryu was receiving reports from across the battle zone. The fight had lasted less than 2 hours, and it was a complete victory for the human fleet. Captain, said Lieutenant Kang Yun, we're receiving a transmission from the surviving Korthak ships. They're requesting permission to retreat. Tell them they can leave, said Captain Ryu. But first, they need to release all their prisoners and provide us with information about their Empire's slave operations. The Korthak commander's voice came through the speakers one more time. He sounded very different now, scared instead of arrogant. We did not know you were Deathworlders. We will comply with your demands. Please do not follow us. Deathworlders? Asked Lieutenant Kang Yun. I think that's what they call species like us, said Captain Ryu. Species that evolved on dangerous planets. As the human fleet secured the area and began rescue operations, Captain Ryu received a message from Admiral Choi on the Fleet Command channel. Well done, Captain. You've just won humanity's first interstellar battle. How does it feel? Captain Ryu looked out at the rescued alien ships, where thousands of prisoners were being freed from slavery. It feels like we did the right thing, Admiral, but I have a feeling this is just the beginning. He was right. Word of the battle was already spreading across the galaxy through Korthak communication networks. For the first time in centuries, someone had defeated the empire that had terrorized dozens of species, and that someone was a species that the galaxy had never heard of, humans from a small blue planet called Earth. The Deathworlders had arrived, and nothing would ever be the same. Ambassador Lise had never met an alien before. As she walked through the medical bay of the human rescue ship Mercy, she tried not to stare at the strange beings lying in the hospital beds. The Helani looked like tall, thin birds, with 4 arms and feathers that changed color when they were afraid. Right now, most of their feathers were dark blue, which Dr. Quan Ai had explained meant they were very scared. "Ambassador," said Dr. Quan, walking up with a medical tablet in her hands, "I finished examining the rescued prisoners. What I found is disturbing." "How so?" asked Ambassador Lee. "These species are physically very different from humans. Their bones are much weaker than ours. Their muscles are smaller. Most of them can barely lift objects that a human child could carry easily." Ambassador Lee looked around the medical bay. She saw dozens of alien species recovering from their time as Korthak prisoners. Some looked like giant insects, others like walking plants, and a few resembled animals from Earth but with extra limbs or strange colors. "Dr. Quan, are you saying that humans are stronger than other aliens?" "Much stronger," said Dr. Quan. "And that's not all. Their home planets have gravity that's about 1/3 of Earth's gravity. Their air has less oxygen. Their weather is much more predictable and gentle." A soft voice spoke from one of the nearby beds. "Excuse me, are you the humans who saved us?" Ambassador Lee turned to see a Helani with silver feathers looking at her with large, dark eyes. This was the first time she had spoken directly to an alien. "Yes, I am Ambassador Lise. We came as soon as we received your distress call." The Helani's feathers shifted to a lighter blue color. "My name translates to Gentle Wing. I was the captain of the trading ship that was captured. I must ask you something important." "Of course. Your warriors. They fought the Korthak ships without fear. They moved through dangerous space like it was nothing. Are all humans like this?" Ambassador Lee wasn't sure how to answer. "We're just doing our job. We protect people who need help." Gentle Wings. Feathers turned white, which Dr. Quan had said meant confusion. "But the Korthak have weapons that can destroy planets. They have ships larger than cities. How are you not afraid?" Professor Jiang Qi walked over from his research station. He had been studying alien biology for the past 3 days. "Ambassador, I think I can explain what's happening here." He pulled out his tablet and showed her some charts. "I've been comparing human physiology to the other species we've rescued. The differences are extreme." "What do you mean?" "Humans can survive in conditions that would kill every other species we've met. Earth's gravity would crush most of these aliens. Our atmosphere would poison them. Our weather would freeze or burn them to death." Major Lim Jun joined the conversation. He had been gathering intelligence about galactic politics from the rescued prisoners. "Ambassador, I've learned something very important about the Korthak Empire." "What is it?" "They've been actively searching for species like humans for over 300 years. They call us Deathworlders, species that evolved on planets so dangerous that they produce warriors instead of normal people." Ambassador Lee felt a chill run down her spine. "Are you saying they were looking for us specifically?" "Not humans exactly, but species like humans. According to the prisoners, the Korthak believe that Deathworlders are the only real threat to their empire." Gentlewing had been listening to this conversation with growing fear. Her feathers were now dark purple. "You mean your planet is so dangerous that it makes all of you into warriors?" Professor Yang Qi nodded. "Earth has gravity 3 times stronger than your world. Our atmosphere contains oxygen levels that would be toxic to most species. We have violent weather, dangerous animals, and natural disasters that happen regularly. And humans evolved to survive all of that," added Dr. Quan. "Our bones are dense enough to handle crushing pressure. Our muscles are strong enough to move in high gravity. Our technology is built to work in environments that would destroy normal equipment. Major Lim Jun was reading reports on his tablet. Ambassador, there's more. I've been analyzing Korthak communication intercepts. They've been systematically destroying any species that shows signs of being physically resilient. Destroying them how? Complete genocide. If they find a species that might be able to fight back effectively, they wipe them out before they can develop space travel. The medical bay became very quiet. All the aliens were listening to this conversation, and their various colors and postures showed that they were terrified. How many species have they destroyed? Asked Ambassador Lee. At least 15 that we know of, maybe more. Gentle Wing spoke up in a whisper. The stories are true then. The Korthak call it pruning the garden. They remove any species that might grow strong enough to challenge them. Dr. Kwan was looking at new data on her medical scanner. Ambassador, I just realized something else. The distress signal that brought us here. It wasn't just a random call for help. What do you mean? The signal was broadcast on frequencies that only advanced species would monitor. The Korthak probably wanted to see who would respond to a call for help. They were testing to see if there were any Deathworlder species in this region of space. Major Lim Jun's face went pale. You're saying this was a trap? I think so. The Korthak have been using distress calls to identify potential threats. When a strong species responds to help, the Korthak learn where they are and what their capabilities are. Ambassador Lee felt her heart pounding. So by rescuing the Halani, we've revealed ourselves to the Korthak Empire. Yes. And according to our intelligence, they're already mobilizing their main fleet. Professor Jiang Qi was running calculations on his computer. Ambassador, the Korthak Empire controls over 200 star systems. Their main fleet has thousands of ships. If they're coming for Earth, he didn't need to finish the sentence. Everyone understood what he meant. Gentle Wing looked up at Ambassador Lee with her large, dark eyes. I am sorry. We never meant for this to happen. We only wanted someone to help us. Ambassador Lee knelt down beside the alien's bed. You did nothing wrong. You asked for help and we gave it. That's what good people do. But now your world is in danger because of us. Our world has always been in danger, said Ambassador Lee. That's why we became the kind of people who answer distress calls. Major Lim Jun was receiving new reports on his communication device. Ambassador, we just received a priority message from Admiral Choi. Long-range sensors have detected a massive Korthak fleet heading toward human space. How long until they arrive? 2 weeks? Maybe 3. Ambassador Lee stood up and looked around the medical bay at all the different alien species they had rescued. These beings had lived their entire lives in fear of the Korthak Empire. Their civilizations had developed under the shadow of a power that destroyed anyone who might challenge them. But humans were different. Humans came from a world that had tried to kill them every day for millions of years. They had survived ice ages, plagues, natural disasters, and wars. They had built their technology to work in the harshest conditions possible. Major Lim, send a message to Admiral Choi, said Ambassador Lee. Tell her we understand the situation. Earth will be ready. She turned to address all the aliens in the medical bay. The Korthak Empire is coming to destroy humanity because they're afraid of us. They're afraid because we're the first species they've met that doesn't fear them. Gentle Wing's feathers shifted to a color that Dr. Kwan said meant hope. Will you fight them? Yes, said Ambassador Lee. We'll fight them, and we'll win. She didn't know how prophetic those words would be. In 2 weeks, the largest battle in galactic history would begin. And when it was over, the Korthak Empire would be nothing but a memory. Fleet Admiral Park Tae stood on the bridge of the massive battleship Earth's Fury and watched the enemy fleet approach. The Korthak Empire had brought everything they had. Over 3,000 warships, the largest military force in galactic history. Admiral, said Commander Seo Yul, studying the tactical display. Their fleet is 10 times larger than ours. Each of their ships is bigger than our largest battleship. Size isn't everything, said Admiral Park calmly. Remember what we learned from the first battle. Their ships are built for show, not for fighting Deathworlders. The Korthak fleet had arrived at the edge of human space 3 days ago. They had been broadcasting surrender demands ever since, ordering humanity to submit to the Empire or face total destruction. Admiral Park had not bothered to reply. Captain Ko Min was commanding the assault carrier Retribution, which carried the largest group of human Marines ever assembled. His ship was much smaller than the Korthak vessels, but it was built to survive anything space could throw at it. "Captain," said his communications officer, "we're receiving another message from the Korthak fleet commander." "Put it through," said Captain Ko. A harsh alien voice filled the bridge. "Deathworld species, this is your final warning. Surrender now, and we will allow some of your population to live as slaves. Continue to resist and we will turn your planet into dust." Captain Ko opened a reply channel. "This is Captain Ko Min of the Terran Defense Force. We have a counter-offer for you." "What counter-offer?" "Leave now, and we won't destroy your entire fleet." There was silence for several moments. Then the alien voice returned, sounding angry. "You are 300 ships against 3,000. Your arrogance will be your destruction." "We'll see," said Captain Ko, and closed the channel. The battle began when the Korthak fleet fired their long-range weapons. Thousands of energy beams and missiles streaked across space toward the human ships. The alien commanders expected to see the human fleet destroyed in the first few minutes of fighting. Instead, they watched in shock as the human ships absorbed the attack with minimal damage. The vessels that had looked small and primitive were, actually, incredibly tough. Their shields held against weapons that could destroy cities, and their armor shrugged off hits that would cripple normal warships. "All ships attack formation," ordered Admiral Park. "Show them what Earth technology can do." The human fleet charged forward like a pack of wolves attacking a herd of sheep. Their ships were faster and more maneuverable than the massive Korthak vessels. They darted between the enemy formation, striking at weak points and disappearing before the aliens could respond. Captain Ko's assault carrier launched hundreds of fighters and bombers. The pilots flew through radiation zones and debris fields that the Korthak couldn't navigate, striking at the enemy ship's weapon systems and engines. But the real surprise came when the boarding pods launched. Sergeant Anjay led the first wave of Marines onto a Korthak command ship. His team wore powered armor designed to function in the vacuum of space, and they carried weapons built to work in any environment. The Korthak had never faced boarding parties before. Their ship security was designed to handle prisoners and rebellious slaves, not trained soldiers in combat armor. "This is Sergeant An," he reported over the radio as his team fought through the alien ship. "Enemy resistance is light. These beings can barely function in their own ship's gravity. They're no match for Marines in powered armor." The fight moved from room to room through the Korthak vessel. The aliens tried to stop the human advance with security robots and automated defenses, but nothing worked. The Marines moved through the ship like they owned it, taking control of critical systems and capturing important prisoners. "Sergeant, we've reached the bridge," reported one of his soldiers. "The enemy commander wants to surrender." "Tell him to order his entire fleet to stand down," said Sergeant An. "If even one ship keeps fighting, we'll tear this whole vessel apart." Meanwhile, the space battle was turning into a complete disaster for the Korthak Empire. Their massive ships were being picked apart by smaller, faster human vessels. Weapons that had conquered dozens of worlds were useless against armor designed to survive Earth's harsh environment. Commander Yun Hai was leading her fighter squadrons in the most dangerous part of the battle. Her pilots were attacking the Korthak flagship, a ship so large it was almost like a small moon. "Blue leader to all fighters," she called over the radio. "The enemy ship's armor is thick, but look for the weak spots. Hit the weapon ports and engine exhausts." Her fighters swarmed around the massive vessel like angry insects. They flew through defensive fire that would have destroyed any other species' aircraft, striking at critical targets and causing massive damage. The Korthak flagship's weapons began shutting down one by one. Its engines started failing. The ship that had been the pride of the Empire was being destroyed by fighters that were tiny compared to its massive size. Admiral Park watched the battle from his command center and realized that the fight was almost over. The Korthak fleet was falling apart. Ships were surrendering or trying to retreat. The empire that had ruled the galaxy for centuries was being defeated in a single afternoon. "Admiral," said Commander Seo, "we're receiving surrender signals from over half the enemy fleet. The rest are trying to escape." "Let the ones who want to leave go," said Admiral Park, "but make sure they understand. If they ever threaten innocent people again, we'll find them." The battle ended with the complete collapse of Korthak resistance. The Empire's main fleet was destroyed or scattered. Thousands of alien ships that had terrorized the galaxy were now either space debris or prisoners of war. But the most important moment came when the surviving Korthak leaders were brought before Admiral Park for the surrender ceremony. The alien commander was a tall, thin being with gray skin and 4 arms. He looked at Admiral Park with large, fearful eyes and spoke in broken Galactic standard. "We do not understand," he said. "Your species is impossible. How do you fight without fear? How do you survive wounds that would kill any civilized being? How do you function in environments that should destroy all life?" Admiral Park looked at the alien commander for a long moment before answering. "We come from a world that tried to kill us every day for millions of years. We learned to be strong because we had to be. We learned to fight because everything on our planet was fighting us. But why do you protect other species? Why do you risk your lives for beings you have never met?" "Because that's what good people do," said Admiral Park simply. "Strong people protect weak people. It's that simple." The alien commander stared at him in confusion. In all his centuries of life, he had never heard anyone say such a thing. 6 months later, Captain Lee Hyun received a message at Beacon 7. It was from the new Galactic Council, an organization of free species that had formed after the fall of the Korthak Empire. The message was simple: "Thank you for answering our call for help." Lee Hyun smiled as he read it. He remembered that day when they had first received the alien distress signal. He had made a choice to ask for help, and that choice had changed the entire galaxy. Humanity was no longer alone in the universe. They were part of a galactic community of hundreds of species, and they had earned their place not through conquest or intimidation, but by doing what they had always done: protecting those who could not protect themselves. The stars looked different now from the windows of Beacon 7. They were no longer empty and silent. They were full of friends, allies, and people who knew that somewhere out there the humans of Earth were watching and ready to help. The galaxy was a safer place, and it would stay that way as long as the Deathworlders were around.